Lanzamiento, aquí viene un batazo de Mundito entre right center field, la bola pica, se extiende, viene anotando Stott, empata el juego, también manda para la bola Turner anota y los Phillies se van arriba. Se prepara, Mundito en segunda, el lanzamiento, batazo profundo para el center field, la bola se va, Schwarber bomb, ¡campanazo! Aquí viene el lanzamiento, swing y lo ponchó. Ponche de Alvarado, amigos.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Phillies Weekly. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Take a look at the dream team that I have here. I have the privilege and the honor to have two very dear friends, both Tim Kelly as well as Anthony SanFilippo is in the house today. Guys, how are you? It's great to see you once again. I know you guys being Globetrotters in Baltimore. I mean, a very interesting series this weekend. How you doing, guys?
I'm doing good, but I'm tired. It was a long week.
Yeah, you know what, Oscar? Here's the thing, and Tim and I were talking about this earlier, right? See, we had 2 rain delays this week and 3 extra inning games. It was as if we've covered an extra 2 games in the same week, right? Like,
and a rain delay in Baltimore last
the Orioles games, I felt like 15 games in just one day.
Oh, and by the way, there was a trade deadline in here too, right? So there was a lot that happened this past week.
I want us to answer 2 big questions. I won't spend too much time on things. We need to answer 2 big questions. Number one, the first question is the easy one. Did Dave Dombrowski did enough to position this team for a playoff run? And the second question is, where is this team going from here? Because the window is every day gets narrower with older players, a core of young, or not anymore young players, or your core grown players not delivering. I mean, Stott looks better than he's looked in a while, but Alec Bohm, has not looked worse in his career, in my opinion, and he's regressing massively. And then you have a young Crawford that we're trying to groom, as well as Andrew Painter. And I think I want us to answer the question, where's this team going in the future? Because without a doubt, this team has flaws. And, you see it this week, right? So you go in and you face the Nationals, and you win 3 out of 4 games against the Nationals. And we know what the Nationals are. They're a team that has scored a lot of runs. We were able to basically hold them, even though our pitching, our starting pitching was not ideal this week. And we'll see it in a minute. And then you go in and you face the Toronto Blue Jays, who were in the World Series, and they look like they were in the World Series last year. And we have a hard time beating these guys. And I think it was more our own fault than, the Blue Jays play great baseball. And I don't know. This to me, we've lost, 5 out of 7 series after the All-Star game. We've lost 10 series at home. I believe, I don't know, Anthony, if you have the number. I was talking to Tim a minute ago. He said 3 series that we lost all of last year's at home, and we've lost 10 already. Who can the real Phillies stand up? Because I don't know who they are anymore.
So maybe the real Phillies are standing up, Oscar. That's quite possible. Lot to unpack here. Your first question was, did Dombrowski do enough at the deadline? No. Do I think he improved the team? I do. Yeah. I just don't think he did enough, right? Obviously now losing, you never expect injuries, but it looks like Kilian's going to be done probably for the year. Obviously we'll know after we see the imaging how bad it is, but Tim and I were talking to him after the game, and it didn't sound good. It sounded pretty bad.
He looked really bad. It looked really bad wherever you look at it. That's
Raley
a strain.
Will help the bullpen. Look, he had a really good inning today. He's going to be fine. He's an improvement. They needed another lefty in the bullpen, but he's not that late inning setup guy. And I think that that's kind of really what they're missing. I like Jonathan Bolin. I think Bolin will do fine in that role, but he's never been that guy.
Proven. It's not proven.
Right, at the biggest stage. So you're crossing your fingers and hoping. There's no trust beyond that. Like beyond that, there's not a guy in that bullpen you go, oh yeah, I trust that guy's going to lock it down. I don't have anybody. Arráez helps immensely. I'm a big fan of that trade. But I also felt like he left a lot on the table by not adding a starting pitcher. And you look at what happened this week, and you had Painter had an injury. Fortunately for the Phillies, he's going to pitch tomorrow. He's okay. Nola had an injury. Fortunately for the Phillies, he's okay and going to pitch on Thursday. But it just goes to show that if either of those or any other injury befalls one of your starting pitchers, who you turning to? Dave Dombrowski went on Jason Stark's podcast and Doug Glanville's podcast and said, oh, well, we need another starter. We got Alan Ronhell and Brian Keller. That's a hell of a place to be when you're trying to lock up a playoff spot.
I mean, I thought they were, for Miley, I thought they were blocked by the Braves. I mean, I heard that before. And then the other thing, he needed to go Mice. I mean, he needed to go Casey Mice. I mean, that could be a right-handed pitcher that you could maybe potentially sign down the road. And I mean, it's like a quality arm. I mean, I don't know about Robbie Ray, but I would have loved Mice here. He could have been a very good quality arm to have it. And the San Diego Padres out of nowhere came in the last day and they got Ray and Casey Mice. And that dude in San Diego, he doesn't believe in prospects, man. He sells everything. Tim, your thoughts about this week and kind of where the team is. We'll talk more about the trade deadline, but your thoughts on the series against the Nationals and the Blue Jays.
Well, it was a long week. That's my thoughts on it. But I mean, I agree with what a lot of what Anthony said there is that I think the Phillies have a chance still to be a really good team, and they made some trades, and that was necessary. But I just don't. I think they had too many holes, and I'm getting an echo again, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're and I'm on my earphones now, so it's whatever, it's fine.
Okay.
Look, we're living a complex world. I mean, when you look at this team, take a look at the bottom right. Here's who this team is. They're 17th in run score. They're 23rd in OPS. They're 24th in striking out. They're 26th not getting on base via base on balls, which is a key component of a lot of the middle market teams. They get on base. I mean, and look at the interesting numbers for the Blue Jays. They're third with the least amount of strikeouts at 19.6. The Phillies are 23.1, 24th in all of baseball. They hit a lot of home runs. We're 9th, 8th, or 9th in baseball now with home runs after what Schwarber did today. And then we're 17th in extra base hits. And somehow this team, it's the big question for me here on this team. We know this team has flaws. We know this bullpen is not a reliable bullpen. You don't have a true setup now that Keller is not there. Neither that Keller was the answer, but we were hoping Keller would be the guy. Our dear friend Alvarado is not the Alvarado of a couple years ago. He's completely he lost his control. Raley is a good lefty. I mean, a good lefty specialist, a good lefty to have. He probably is going to be commended with the 8th inning because I don't see anybody else. I mean, Bolin and him are probably the two most reliable pitchers we have right now on the relief pitching corp. And look, Kerr is to ups and downs. I mean, very inconsistent toward this latter part of this year. So this team, I mean, and he has a flawed lineup.
You know what the thing is with him, Oscar, with Kerr? Kerr is totally fine when it's not high leverage.
Yeah.
When it's not high leverage, he goes out there and he pitches really well. When it's higher leverage, when he's required to lock down an inning or, have a shutdown inning or get a hold so we can go to Duran like today, that's when the inconsistency in him comes out and it hurts him.
Yeah,
and
that's not a good quality to have as a relief pitcher.
It's not a good thing to have as a relief pitcher, Tim. I mean, that's the problem. And, he started to show signs of it a little bit last year. And I don't mean by throwing the ball away, right? That's not what I'm talking about against the Dodgers. I'm just saying he started to show signs of it a little bit last year where he was, coming into dirty innings. And look, that's not an easy job to do, to come into a dirty inning and shut it down and not give up runs. Obviously, sometimes you're going to give up runs. Even if you don't give up a hit, you're going to give up runs, right? It's possible. So it's not just that. but it's that there are situations where he comes in a close game or it's really tight, it's late in the game, and that's when he seems to struggle the most. I don't know how else to describe it, right? Yeah, for example,
Where's the old Tanner Banks from last year when you need him the most?
Yeah, I know. I know. And it's weird because what I'm saying to you, like the numbers, his numbers don't really bear that out, right? Like if you look up his baseball reference page, and you will find that in high leverage situations, he 182 batting average against, the OPS is 647, which is not lights out, but it's also
I think
not.
the issue is his control.
Yeah, it's also not terrible, but it just seems that when he has his blow up innings, they always seem to be in the higher leverage moments and not in the ones where he comes in when they're either behind by 3 runs or they're ahead by 4 runs. Like it's not then. It's when the games matter most.
I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to just rely on Brooks Raley and rely on Jonathan Bolin and hope that works. And I'm going to go and try and get a different microphone because something is.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. That's fine. Look, it's a little scary. I think one question we could ask, Anthony, is going back to 2022. Is this team different than the 2022 team, or does this team has reminiscence of that team that had flaws, but find a way to get hot at the right time and can have a drive? I mean, like a run like the one we had.
Yeah, I mean there are some similarities, but I think that there are also some significant differences too, Oscar, between the two teams. And the first thing, first and foremost, is your core guys, with the exception of Trey Turner, who wasn't here in 22, are all 4 years older, right? And so there's going to automatically be a little bit of regression in that regard. And you saw, like in 2022, if Bryce Harper was going through a funk like he was going through for part of July, somebody else would pick him up.
Hoskins, right? Or Schwarber would pick him up.
Whoever. Somebody would pick him up, right? And there was always, the lineup was deeper. It was top 5 or 6 in the league in run production. Yeah, they might have been a little bit home run heavy, but they did it. They hit those home runs. They drove the runs in. This team, if Schwarber goes bad for a while, which until today, obviously, he was really struggling, and Harper went through it in July. He's been better in the last, couple weeks. But if they're not hitting, what's behind them?
Yeah,
I mean, Bryson Stott, you mentioned it. I mean, he's played very well. He's been really, really good. Justin Crawford's finally, been better than he was earlier in the season, but that's not enough. Like, it's just not, where's everybody else? Brandon Marsh fell off. Alec Boehm's having a terrible year. Real Muto doesn't hit like he used to hit. You're running platoons in the outfield with guys that are just platoon guys, right? Like, and Trey Turner, he's turned it on lately. Since mid-June, he's got an OPS like in the mid 800s or upper 800s, which is good, but his defense has been bad, which has kind of, balanced that out a little bit. So
look who we have in the house today. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
Destiny.
What's up, Destiny? How are you? So it's good to see you, Destiny. We were hanging out. Destiny was hanging out with us down at the ballpark today, as she usually is.
Yeah, she usually. I mean, she asks tough questions. I always tell her that she loves to ask the tough questions to the guys. There is Tim. Tim solved all the problems on planet Earth right now.
Does it sound better?
Look at you using our podcast mics, our Phillies stoplight mics.
Yes.
Look who's here. Look who is here, Tim. Our dear friend Destiny.
Destiny,
we need answers.
She was she was at the park all day and now is watching us.
Look at that. I mean, she's the best, man. I love Destiny and everything that she does. She does beautiful work, man. Beautiful work for Phillies Nation.
Absolutely.
So, look, guys. I mean, this is where our pitchers were this week. Basically, this is where you see Nola 6 innings, We couldn't score enough runs for the guy, but we ended up winning that game 6-3 at the end. Luzardo, I mean, he's pitching unbelievable. Look what Matt Gell put at the end of the day today. Last 3 months, 100 innings, 119 strikeouts, 32 base on balls, and a 2.25 ERA. I mean, amazing what Luzardo has been doing. And I mean, this basically shows that we have a top three. I mean, what's going on? What do you think is going on with, particularly with Sanchez? I mean, he's like, look, 52% of his pitches this week were strikes, the first pitches that he was throwing. His command is not the same over the last few games. Anything that calls your attention?
No, I mean, I think there probably was some level of fatigue after his streak, but it's been a while now, and they need him to get back to where he was. As far as Luzardo, I think there were some people in April that second-guessed the contract extension. Well, it looks great now. I mean, he's been lights out since April, and for all the flaws that the Phillies have as a team, that top three is as good as it gets, and not even as good as it gets. It's the best in baseball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. They are. I mean, if you look at advanced numbers, like they're in the top 5 or 6, all 3 of them in everything this season, right? I mean, it is the best top 3 in baseball. And look, you got to give a little bit of shout out to Nola because he's been better. He's not what he used to be. We all know that, right? He's not what he used to be. Of his last 11 starts, 9 of them he's given up 3 runs or fewer. Now, could he go a little bit longer in games? You wish that would help, right? He seems to be more of that 5 to 6 inning guy as opposed to a 6 to 7 inning guy. If you could get another inning out of Aaron Nola, he'd be ideal as a number 4. He's not that, so he's kind of, but he's done fine. Like, yeah,
I don't think the issues are Nola. I think it's the bullpen. I mean, that you don't have enough arms, quality arms back there. And I mean, they're allowing too many runs.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy has what, a 3.30 ERA over the last, I don't know, 6-7 outings. I mean, so he's doing his part. I don't think the issue is him. Now, the issue is he has not won since when? Since June?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about. I mean, I think they're 11-13 in games that Nola has started this year. The team. His record is not a good record, just because. But wins and losses, I don't look at starting pitchers wins and losses.
Yeah, you look at the overall. That they win or lose with him.
But the team's 11-13. The problem is the number 5 spot in the rotation, because that's when the bullpen's being exposed, and they're 5-23. I think it is when the number 5 spot in the rotation comes up. Yeah. And
Rangel is a security blanket tomorrow for Painter. In case something happens to Painter with his hemi.
Rangel may have to pitch even if Andrew Painter throws 7 innings tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true.
They might have to throw Rangel. The bullpen is exhausted at this point.
It might have to be Painter throws 5 innings and Rangel throws 4 tomorrow, and you win or you lose. But they need to reset the bullpen. They also need the guys that are called upon in the bullpen to do their jobs, because you end up having to use so many more relievers when the game goes 12 innings, as opposed to if it's a 9-inning game, or even if it's a 9-inning game, but you're bringing in 2 or 3 guys in the same inning because the first guy didn't get their job done, or you're warming extra guys up. And some of that has been poor managerial decisions, but a lot of it has been execution out of the bullpen. It just hasn't been good enough. And that's why you're in this position where you're gassed. Not that it's obviously unfortunate that Caleb Kilian's injured, but him being injured now will allow them to bring someone up tomorrow. They could bring Chase Sugar back, or they could
bring him back immediately because of the injury?
Because it's an injury. Okay. Or they could bring up McFarland, who's also not eligible to return yet normally, but would be as an injury replacement. So
that would be
they need somebody to come up who can be effective, but can also just give them a body out there.
Yeah, you didn't trade McFarland. Give him a shot. I mean, give him a shot to see what the guy has. I mean, he might be your Kerr of a few years back, and I mean, a good arm that you could use in a 5th or 6th inning, and you don't need to use them in high leverage if need be. But you need arms.
That might be what they're afraid of, though. Quite honestly, because I think it probably didn't help Orion Kerkering's confidence long term that he got thrown into the fire in 2023, and he ran out of gas in Arizona. So did Craig Kimbrell at the exact same time. And like we talk about what happened with Kerr last year in LA, but also they put him out there maybe before he was ready, and you wonder what long-term effect that had. Well, you don't want to do the same thing with McFarland necessarily, but I understand the desire for the Phillies to bring up anyone that has a live arm and see what they can do, because what they have now is not winning a World Series. It may not win a playoff series. It's not guaranteed to get them to the playoffs, period. They need better, and I think Kerr will be better, but I have the concerns about him from in the high leverage moments.
Mm-hmm.
Alvarado, you tried, you brought him back, and he might just not have it anymore. Guys that throw that hard don't usually have a long shelf life. So you're relying on Bolin, Brooks Raley, and Duran. And even if those three do everything possible, and Mays has had some nice moments, but like you're going to have to find somebody else. And
how do you enter a postseason with so thin? I mean, it's a killer. It's a killer.
Well, keep in mind, and I'm not trying to compare this Phillies team to the Dodgers, right? But keep in mind that the Dodgers won a World Series last year basically without a bullpen.
That's fair.
That's fair. They used all their starting pitchers in the bullpen in the playoffs.
Yeah, Sasaki, I mean, came in big time for them in the postseason.
But even so, we saw Blake Snell pitch out of the bullpen. We saw Glasnow pitch out of the bullpen. Right? I mean, they just turned it over to their starters. You know, a couple guys threw here and there, got an inning out of them, but it was who else? Who was the guy that pitched all those innings in the game that went 18 innings? Who might forget? What was his name?
Klein.
Will
Klein.
Right? I mean, they just have guys, right?
Yeah.
They can trot out there for multiple innings, and that's what they did.
To a degree, I think it was a perfect storm for the Dodgers last year because Yamamoto had one of the great runs we ever saw. Snell wasn't great in the World Series, but was great up until the World Series. And yeah, you had Sasaki, who really was terrible in the regular season. All of a sudden in the playoffs, at least the NL playoffs, was like a closer for them. I don't know that even the Dodgers will be able to replicate that because everyone got healthy at the same time. Snell did, Glasnow. The Phillies don't have enough of those guys, even at full strength. And yeah, I mean, you're going to be so reliant on some of them when they're starting that how much can you don't have like a fourth starter, a Ranger Suarez this year, or someone like that. Even maybe like Luzardo pitched an inning in relief last year in LA, the inning before Kerr got the ball, and he pitched really well. I don't know if you'll have the luxury to do that this year. Maybe Andrew Painter can figure something out and he can become a weapon out of the bullpen in the playoffs. I don't know, but I don't think they're set up as is right now to be able to do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs. It could be an Andrew Painter, right? It could be Gage Wood. Like maybe
there it is. Look, Gage Wood from Rating or Alex McFarland. I mean, those are the guys.
I mean, but the thing of it is that if that's the case, and it very well could be, it's a big cross your fingers and hope it works, right? I mean, there's no guarantee that this is going to happen, that this is going to be successable. I mean,
and there's no guarantee that you don't screw them up. Like you got to be careful. Gage Wood, maybe it's not opening day next year, but I think you're counting on him to start in your rotation at some point next year. You don't want to mess things up.
You don't want to, but the one thing I will say about Gage Wood is that he, just from talking to him a couple of times that I've talked to the guy, he just doesn't strike me as a guy who would let it mess him up if he had a bad experience as a bullpen guy in the playoffs. I think he would just.
But you got to worry about health too. I mean,
sure,
just a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like Bohm. I mean, do we stop the experiment? I mean, that's.
When people say the experiment, what is an experiment about Alex?
It's not an experiment. It's not.
He was a top 5 pick that's been on the team. That's just a pet peeve. I like that account though, Phillies and Eagles throwbacks. But it always makes me laugh when people say the experiment. He's been on the team since I started covering them. Like
6 years.
What do you do? I mean, what are you going to do?
7.
What are your options?
Your option, I think the more realistic option is that you put him on the bench and that Bryce Harper plays first base and either Edmundo Sosa or Brian De La Cruz takes on a bigger role in the outfield. And I don't feel great about either of those options either. It gets back to what we talked about. Like I think they made the team better, but there's only so much you can do in the season, especially when you have limited resources on the farm. There's only so much you can do. And do I think that they made enough moves to become a World Series team? Probably not.
No. Let's go over this quickly because I know we have a hard stop at 9. So 63, 56, 32, and 30. We are not playing as well as home as we probably should. Again, we've lost 10 series at home, which is, I mean, you say that number and it's like, wow. I mean, you start scratching your head. Away, 31 and 26, 54 and 37 with Mattingly, 14 and 16 over the last 30, 9 and 11 over the last 20. But we're 6 and 4 in the last 10. I mean, I thought the number would have been worse when you start talking that we are 9 and 13 since the All-Star break. But the number is 6 and 4 over the last 10 games.
You know why that is, Oscar?
Yeah.
You know why that is? Why you think it's worse? Because we live in a city that has a football mentality.
Yeah.
Right? Where you go one game and it's like either euphoria or disaster, right? Like there's no context that people can put into it. They live and die pitch to pitch, game to game. So yeah, they've won 6 out of 10. It's actually better than you think. But because the last 4 games have been pretty ugly,
yeah,
everybody's, jumping off the bandwagon.
Yeah, it's been ugly when they've lost, and it's been ugly when they won. So I get it with people like being exhausted. There's rain delays and everything. Like people put a lot into watching this, and it hasn't been a good product recently.
We're 6 and 3 in
They're
August.
an exhausting team, that's for sure.
We're 6 and 3. They're an exhausting team, and every time you watch, and the last couple of days, I mean, when you just give those leads, I mean, it's just painful. I mean, that's probably the best way I position it.
You know what the funniest thing was today, and I don't think anybody really, Tim, I don't know if you picked up on this, but nobody was talking about it after it was said. But when we were talking to Luzardo after the game, and he talked about he was lobbying to go even further than he went. He threw 100 pitches in this game. He did. Right? And the fact that he said that he was lobbying to go further, does that make you wonder what they feel about that bullpen in the clubhouse?
I mean, look at Wheeler, 116.
Yeah.
I didn't. I mean, I know he got a long at bat. I didn't think Zach Wheeler would ever throw 110 pitches in a start again after last year. Now, I didn't think he'd be this good either, but I think what it is that I don't know that. I mean, obviously Luzardo and they all know the bullpen hasn't pitched well and there's limited options, but I think him lobbying today was probably just more about he knows what state it's in terms of how many guys have pitched. For the Phillies, though, it does kind of start the wheels turning in my head. The fact that they've been so insistent on not moving the starters up a day, even when there's an off day, doing all that, it makes me wonder, are they thinking come postseason, these guys are throwing 115 pitches and we're letting it loose? We're from the perspective.
Let's get there. By the way, let's get there.
Yes, but
you know what the funny thing is with that, though, guys? Every year in the playoffs, managers, not just here in Philadelphia, but across baseball, tend to pull their starters early, usually because you have an extra arm in the bullpen, right? You're not carrying 5 starters. Usually you're only carrying 4. Early series, you may only use 3. So you have extra guys in the bullpen. So you tend to pull your pitchers sooner because you want to get the matchups that you want, right? Out of the bullpen. The Phillies might go against the grain. Tim, you might be right that they might do something that's not been done in recent postseasons and say, guys, get out there and throw till your arm falls off.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's a good long-term strategy, but what is going to happen between now and October that you feel good about taking Christopher Sanchez out with 5 2/3 innings pitched? Like nothing. These guys are having to go minimum 7 innings, I feel like, in postseason games. Even if they give up like 4 runs over 7 innings, you'd still probably rather that than handing the ball over in the middle of the 6th inning or something.
Guys, it ain't pretty. Just your quick take on 23 and 30 versus teams above 500 versus 40 and 29 versus above or below 500. Any thoughts on that?
Yes. Normally, and this is what I always tell people who say that they only beat up on bad teams, they don't beat good teams. My response to that normally is find me somebody who's got a really good record against teams that are over 500.
The Braves.
So usually good teams, your best teams in the league, are right around 500 against teams that are over 500.
I think the Braves, I don't have it in front of me, but the Braves, I think they're like 42-30, somewhere there.
Some crazy thing. But that's an outlier. Normally it's not that good, right? That said, when you look at 23-30, I think that's a little low. I think that's again indicative of the team that they are.
For the first time,
if that was closer, if that was like 26-27, I'd be like, that's where they should, around where they should be.
By the way, run differential for the first time this year, and it's a mistake by me, is 528. It's a zero finally after the first day of the season. I mean, we were like in the 50s or 40s most of the time. Now we're at zero. So
I think at one point it was back above. It was positive at one point, and then it went back negative.
He's saying week to week, right? So if
that was before I was born, Tim. I mean,
it hasn't been zero. I mean,
it was ugly.
I know some people don't like run differential, but and I get that you can take the run differential of when the Phillies have those three starting versus the bad ones, but in the end, over 162, if you don't have a positive run differential, you usually aren't making the playoffs, and you're usually not even close. So I do think it matters that they begin to have a stretch here where not only do they get positive, but they stay in the green, black, however you want to say it.
I agree with you, Tim, but I do think this team is a little bit of an outlier.
They are, but we're seeing how much of stress that puts on the top 6 guys on the roster, that the second they're not perfect, you're screwed.
Yeah, agreed.
Look, we're 9-13 since the All-Star break, and you see here the numbers. I mean, the first week, it was just a series against the Mets. We scored 2.7 runs. Since then, we've been scoring runs above 4, which is the number. We want to be above 4 and below 3 on the runs allowed. So we're 466, 5, and 543. So hitting has been primarily okay over the last 3 weeks. The issue in a lot of games is that it's a game we score 10 runs and the next game we cannot score a run against a good pitcher. And that's part of the issues with this team. And pitching has been inconsistent overall, particularly our bullpen, which is the biggest concern that I think we all have about this bullpen and outside of the top 3 guys that we have in pitching for us. So,
well, Oscar, you know what the most interesting thing is on this slide? The most interesting thing on this slide has nothing to do with the hard work that you've done compiling the stats. Has nothing to do with it. You've done a great job with this, and I love how you do it. The most interesting thing on this slide for Phillies fans should be this. Look at who's coming up on the schedule, because the next 3 weeks are your opportunity to separate yourself.
Exactly.
Right? You're playing a bad Cardinals team, under 500 Cardinals, under 500 Twins, under 500 Marlins, Cardinals again, under 500 Mariners, under 500 Angels. You are playing 6 straight series against teams that are sub 500. Now, I know people are going to sit there and say they just lost a series to a sub 500 team in Toronto, and it's true that they did. But
this 4 weeks here, 24 and 25, that's
a tough stretch, and the final week's a tough stretch, right? The tough week. Then you have a reprieve with the Nationals and the Mets in the next to last week. But the next 3 weeks, that is your chance to separate yourself and get back into the thick of it. If you're 500 in the next 3 weeks, you might as well just pack it in. Like, I'm serious with that.
Yeah, and honestly, most of these are not good teams, but the Twins bought at the deadline. They're like a game under 500, but they're still very much in not only in the AL Central or the AL. This is as bad as the AL has ever been. So the Twins are still in it
too. But but they're
but Seattle is Seattle's like a week away from being. There's so much star power on that team, and it just feels like it's not their year. But if they have a good 10-game stretch, all of a sudden you go in there. If Cal Raleigh's going and George Kirby and Julio Rodriguez get going, and that's a tough series. The Angels suck. We know that. And like the Cardinals and Marlins played above what they can be. But, I mean, I don't know. I think the Twins are probably tougher than we're giving them credit for. And
they're right there. They're right there in the thick of things. I mean,
and then you get to Arizona's tough. Atlanta's tough. The Astros are in the playoff mix still. The Braves again. The Nationals, we'll see what their roster looks like, but the Phillies kind of lucked out this week that they missed James Wood for the most part. He should be back by then, I would think. The Mets are bad, but then the Brewers and that could be a World Series preview. Brewers and Rays, which would be hilarious.
Look, I Rock Philly just put a comment up, Oscar, and he's exactly right. It says, if the week 27 games, final week of the season, are meaningful for the Phillies to make the postseason, it's going to be scary. And he's right.
It is scary already. I mean, it is scary already. I mean, it's like you go in there and you start seeing how they play this series, and look, can this team, who are the real Phillies? I mean, that's the question. And look, I know Dombrowski is gonna say the right things. I mean, to the media. I mean, that he did enough. Look, we missed a starter, and we also missed a right-handed bat. I do believe that Lane Thomas was the guy that we wanted, and the Braves basically just blocked us from getting him. I mean, that's the reality. I mean, the guy wrecks left-handed pitching.
He's one of the type of guys that would have fit. They just had too many holes. Like you can only fix so many things, and what you need is guys that to outperform what they did in the first half. Justin Crawford's been great the last few weeks. Maybe that's something. Bryson Stott has been really good. If Alec Boehm doesn't get going, then you have to figure something else out. Edmundo Sosa's had a poor season, by his standards. So, yeah, I don't know. Got to figure something out.
Hey, guys, just so we can move quickly over the things that I have here. Alumni Weekend, I mean, your take on Alumni Weekend overall compared to other years?
I think nothing will ever be quite like that year. Pete Rose was back. It was
that was madness.
Insane, but it was memorable.
Up in the documentary, Tim. That's
yeah.
The only reason.
Yes. Yeah. In this case, I thought it was relatively mild, but maybe that's just because everything else has felt like a whirlwind recently. Like in a year where the Phillies have the All-Star game, and then next week they're going to the Field of Dreams. It kind of feels like this was a little overlooked, but you put one of the best players and arguably one of the top 5 position players in the history of the team on the Wall of Fame. So it was a cool moment.
You know what I thought was a cool thing? Usually when these things happen, right? They try to tell they do lie to the fans a little bit and give them a start time that's a little bit earlier than what it's supposed to be, right? But a lot of times we have these pregame things, and the stadium's only half full when it's happening. Because of the rain delay, we had everyone in their seats for the Chase Utley induction. So to me, I thought the energy in the building was awesome. That much I thought was better than usual for these kinds of events.
From what I saw, it was classy. I mean, the whole induction with Chase was really classy. His speech, I mean, I thought it was really, really well done. Burrell and him, I mean, did a hell of a job, both of them.
And I'll tell you some other classy stuff the Phillies did this week. They deserve a lot of credit for some of the things that they come up with. Secondarily, because they're doing the Field of Dreams game, they did a thing today where they had 4 players who were on the Phillies roster but never actually appeared in a game. Just like Moonlight Graham in the movie Field of Dreams.
Bottom right. Those are the photo on the bottom right.
Yeah, throwing out the first pitch. So I thought that was really cool. And then secondarily, I give them a lot of credit for having the class to recognize Max Scherzer today. Mm-hmm. Scherzer surpassed Walter Johnson on the all-time strikeout list yesterday against when he struck out Kyle Schwarber. It became to move into 10th place all-time on the strikeout list. And they had him posing with Steve Carlton.
Yeah, right? That was cool.
Who's 4th
They did Steve Carlton, and then Aaron Nola did it as well.
And then they recognized Nola, too. Yeah. But, I mean, it's classy to recognize a guy from the other team, right? That's unique. Yeah. Not every team does that, and the Phillies did not do a nice job of that. I remember they also did the same thing for Miguel Cabrera when he was retiring, right? If you remember that was kind of a cool thing. So I give them a lot of credit.
Pujols as well.
They do a good job.
Yeah. I thought it was cool, and I thought it was cool to see probably the last matchup between Nola and Scherzer because they faced each other a bunch. And I told Aaron all this. I said, the moment where I felt like the Phillies like kind of became a serious team again was his start in 2018 in DC against Max Scherzer, and Bryce Harper and Trey Turner were on the Nationals at that time. But where Nola goes 8 shutout innings and the Phillies win 2-0, like that was kind of the moment where it changed. So 8 years later to see it, and this is probably it for Scherzer. He hasn't said anything, but until last night, at least, he wasn't pitching particularly well. So I think it's probably it. He's one of the best pitchers I've ever seen, and just in terms of guys I enjoy watching, he's very close to the top.
He's unbelievable, man. He's
the
unbelievable.
Act. There's so many guys. If they tried to do all the theatrics that he does, I'd be like, this is stupid. He pulls it off. It's awesome. I've never talked to him, but just in terms of watching him pitch, it's been a pleasure.
I'll never forget the start where Scherzer was pitching and Girardi was saying that he was putting things on the baseball on his cap and all that. That was a wild start there.
I was there for that game, and he took his belt off at one point to shoot.
He was going to take his pants off. I mean,
there was another start against the Phillies in DC where Scherzer, it was when pitchers still hit. Pre-game, he was doing bunting drills, and a ball hit him in the eye. So he had a massive black eye, and then he still went out and pitched like 7 innings against the Phillies that day.
And then the other thing I remember is, was it last year, maybe 2 years ago? I forget which year it was. He was coming back from an injury, and he was pitching doing like a live BP, live batting practice up in Toronto. And they were playing the Phillies. And he gets ready. He's out there. He's warmed up, right? He's getting ready. You know how Scherzer is. He's very intense. And he turns around, and who walks into the cage to hit against him but Kyle Schwarber?
Oh my!
It really broke Scherzer, which is pretty funny, right? So that was pretty cool. Yeah, he is. You're right, Tim. First ballot Hall of Famer, and you had the privilege of watching him pitch one more really good game against the Phillies yesterday, even though Trey Turner did take him deep in his final at bat.
He did. I mean, Chase Utley will probably, last thing I'll mention about this slide is that Chase will probably has a very good chance to make it to the Hall of Fame next year. What, 59.1?
Yeah, I think it might be 2 or 3 years, but he's definitely at this point tracking to get in, and I think deservedly so. I can understand if someone thinks that there weren't quite enough years, but anyone that watched Chase Utley for his 7 best seasons has no doubt that he was a Hall of Fame level player. It's just whether you think injuries hurt him in his early 30s, and he was blocked by Placido Polanco early in his career. But for, let's say, 2005 to 2012, there's not much better than what Chase Utley was.
Yeah, and then Jimmy Rollins, as well as Bobby Abreu and Cole Hamels, they're all there.
I don't think any of them are going to get in.
What was that?
I don't think any of them are going to get in.
Yeah, it's those numbers down there don't help. So
although those numbers aren't horrible,
they're pretty bad for Rollins this far in. For Hamels, it's not bad.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, just right quick. I mean, on the Wheeler situation with the man, what in the world happened there? I haven't seen that. I mean, that's similar to Scherzer and doing weird stuff. I mean, what was your take on this?
I thought it was entertaining. I mean, there are some clips where he does appear to be off the mound, so I'm sure that's something every team the Phillies play now is going to try and get into his head with. But I enjoy interviewing Zach Wheeler because he's just going to come out and say whatever's on his mind, and he did that post game. We see the quote here. He says the Blue Jays have lost a lot of games over there, so they're probably trying to pick some things up to complain about. Mind you, this was after the Blue Jays beat the Phillies. But Zach Wheeler doesn't care. It was entertaining.
Yeah, and here's my take on it, Oscar. Like, even if there was that one video that's been going around, everybody's sharing the same video, right? So it happened the one time. Because if it was happening repeatedly, you would see a video of it happening repeatedly. But we've only seen the one shot of his foot coming off the mound. If you have one pitch out of 116 where he's coming 4 centimeters off of the corner of the mound, right? Is how much of an advantage is he really getting on you?
I mean, it's
like, come on.
It's ridiculous. But hey, you're getting his head, and that's the part that they did a good job getting his head.
That's the only way you like. Just trying to beat Zach Wheeler on its own doesn't work very well. So try whatever you can try to get him off his game if you're an
Nola
opposing team.
2,000 strikeouts. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, second guy in the history of the team. I mean, here's the photo with courtesy of the Phillies with Steve Carlton. It is a big deal.
Yeah, no, it's kind of sad that it happened at this stage. It's been a little bit since Aaron Nola's been peak Aaron Nola, but I hope it's kind of like Ryan Howard now on these alumni weekends. Everyone gives loud cheer. He gets as loud a cheer as anybody, maybe the loudest. I hope at some point Aaron Nola, it's like that because, yeah, he's not what he once was, but for a decade he was, and I'm not saying he was Ryan Howard, but for a decade he was the most durable pitcher in baseball, and he had a few seasons where he's like a top 10, if not top 5 pitcher.
Here's Eric again steering the putt here. The Mets fans don't believe he's a Hall of Famer.
They maybe don't want him to be a Hall of Famer, but if anyone should recognize how great Chase Utley was at his peak, he had 35 home runs against the Mets just with the Phillies.
Well, here's an interesting thing. Is there a Met that could potentially go into the Hall of Fame at the same time as Chase Utley? Because if that's the case, like a David Wright, for example.
Yeah, that's who I thought.
The only one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Because if that were the case and you go up to Cooperstown and it's half Phillies fans, half Mets fans.
Oh, man.
That could be some fun.
I feel like Cooperstown is like a golf environment, though, where it's decorum and stuff. And that would be out the window if you had a weekend like that.
Absolutely. I mean, hey, you know what? If you want to stir the pot, you want to have full attendance and create controversy, that's a perfect way to do it. So
exactly.
Okay, guys. I know you were not here the last few weeks, but this is what I put kind of out there in terms of the team priorities. A high leverage relief pitcher. We had a 4.43 ERA, 24th in baseball with our relief pitching. We've blown a number of saves. A right-handed, initially we all talked about right-handed hitter, a high OPS, on-base percentage guys that could also help on the OPS, which was 23rd in baseball. A fifth starter. The last time a fifth starter won is May 18th, I think, continues. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So the trend continues. And then the other thing that I hear is that I was thinking about is help shape the future. I mean, I think we have major question marks in outfield, major questions at shortstop, major questions at catcher, major questions at third base and at second base. And, I mean, those were not answered without a doubt. And here's what the team got. One thing about Arráez that truly impressed me, and NBC Sports put it today, and I thought that was really, really interesting. Since 1976, he's the guy that has the highest career average with runners in scoring position. That is a very, very impressive number there.
Yeah, the Phillies PR staff put that out the other day. That it's an impressive thing, and it's why I know a lot of old school people, they picture like you should have the big slugger hitting fourth, but I get it. I get why you would have Luis Arráez hitting behind Bryce Harper, because if they walk Bryce Harper, you have a guy that is going to put the ball in the grass in the outfield and either advance Harper to third or maybe score him, or if Turner or Schwarber had got on earlier, like having a guy that can hit singles and he hits doubles and he will hit a home run occasionally. Like, I think that's valuable. And to me, Arráez is much more valuable. There's some guys, like, no matter where you put Schwarber or Harper, they're super valuable. Arraez's style is way more valuable when he's on a good team, because when you're on a good team and you hit singles, you're driving runs in or moving runners. When you're on a bad team and you hit singles, you're just hitting singles.
Do you guys see extending Arráez as an option? I do see it. I do see a potential extension.
I mean, they gave up a decent piece to get him, so we'll see what happens. They have to believe that he can play second base, because Harper's going to be back at first base most likely. Schwarber's going to be a DH. So they would have to think for 2 or 3 years that Arráez can play second base, and they would have to believe that Bryson Stott can go to another spot, which whether that's shortstop or staying at third base or maybe the outfield, like I think Stott has shown an ability to move around, and I don't doubt that he could play. Like, a lot of it depends what they're going to do with Trey Turner. Like, if Trey Turner is coming off of shortstop, is he going to second base? Because if so, then that's that. Arráez won't be back. If he's going to left field and Stott's going to shortstop, then who knows? Maybe.
I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, having Stott at shortstop and Arráez at second. I mean, it's not the ideal I mean, let's be clear. Bryson Stott is a potential Gold Glover at second base. He's probably an average shortstop based on what we saw the first year where he was here, that he was playing some shortstop. He doesn't have tremendous arm. I mean, he's a good shortstop. He would be a good
I
shortstop.
think his best value is that he can move all over.
I agree.
Like,
fair point.
We've spent so much time trying to get him at one spot, and maybe he's somebody that, like, he seems willing, and I'm sure he has a spot that he likes to play. It may still be shortstop, but if you can have him kind of move around and fill whatever need that the Phillies have, I think that's valuable. It just comes down to what are they going to do with Trey Turner? I don't think it's a lock that they're going to move Trey Turner off of shortstop if he plays well down the stretch. I think they probably should move him to another spot, but honestly, I think the best spot for him to go would be second base. So that would eliminate bringing back Luis Arráez.
Yeah, it'll be, look, a lot. It's incredible. I mean, we signed Trey Turner to be kind of the catalyst of this team and take us to the promised land. And I mean, it's one after the other. And I'll show you this. And I know we're wrapping up right now, but wanted to let me show you a couple of things here so you can take a look at it, some of the interesting stuff. So here's kind of where we are right now, where the Phillies are, and I'll show a couple of slides and we're done. Here's where we are, 8.5 games behind. I don't think we're catching up the Braves anymore. But here's the scary part, right? 56 losses, 57 losses by the Padres. The Padres are losing right now 2-1 in the second inning against the Astros. So we'll see what happens there. But it's a little scary. I mean, the Padres are coming strong. I love what they did getting those two arms, and they're hitting much better now. So to me, that's who else can make it outside of the Padres and the D-backs. Do you worry about any other team down here? The Marlins are right now up and down. I'm seeing them a lot of up and down. I don't see them.
I thought at one point the Pirates could, and they're just self-destructing.
They're fading.
So
I think the Marlins can hang in.
Potentially,
I think that they play the style of ball that can kind of keep them in this race for the rest of the year. I mean,
and Myers will come back, I think, very soon, so that will help them tremendously.
I believe a little bit in the Marlins. I do. The thing of it is that the Padres went out and got starters, which they badly needed. Yeah. Their offense is still disappointing.
But it's been better. It's gotten going.
It's been better, but it's still disappointing to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know. I like the Padres better than the Diamondbacks. Have a good lineup. I don't like their pitching.
Look at this, guys. Look at his stat. Since May, the guy began to play much better baseball, and he's kept it up. And on the other hand, our dear friend Alec Bohm, I mean, he's bombing. It's like it's in a continuous decline, and here's kind of where Arráez is. Arráez is a 780 OPS guy for his career. He's 800 today. I mean, his last 2 months have not been that great, but we know. I mean, we just saw what his value and what he could do for this team, and his ability to make contact. By the way, he struck out twice this weekend.
Well, Oscar, you know what the funny thing is, and Tim and I were talking about this on Philly Stoplight, like what he's meant for Bryce Harper is immeasurable right now, because since he's been here, Harper has felt comfortable having somebody behind him that can get a hit. Whereas, and before that, he didn't feel comfortable about having an Alec Bohm behind him, or even Brandon Marsh once he started to go south.
Yeah.
I think Harper's he's not chasing as much. He could be more selective. He's, as Tim said, he's more willing to just pass the bat, right? And so when you look at it, in the 27 plate appearances he had since Luis Arráez got here, he got on base 14 times. And I believe 8 or 9 of those were walks, right? So that's the effect that Arráez has had on Bryce Harper.
And the other thing is the impact that he's going to have on somebody like Crawford, that is a contact hitter, as well as potentially Stott. I mean, that could definitely help the lineup. So anything interesting on this slide that calls your attention?
Well, I just want to add one more thing on Arráez. He has an energy, and this time of the year, it's the dog days. This summer has been very hot, but it's also rained a lot. Like, it's been a struggle. Obviously, I think one of the things that I've taken away from this season is that it wears on a team to host the All-Star game and to do these big events. There is a lingering effect throughout the season. Getting a guy in there with the energy that Luis Arráez has, in addition to what he'll provide offensively and with leadership, like I know Joan Duran and Jesus Luzardo have talked about like what he meant to them as a leader and a teammate early in their careers. So having a guy like that come in and bring energy and leadership and contact, I think it's huge. So we'll see what the future holds, but the Phillies are in a good spot to have him the rest of the season.
Yeah, before I put the last slide, I mean, Aidan Miller, the biggest puzzle to me this year in the entire season. Happy for
we got to
Aaron
see that
Nola.
we got to see that Aidan Miller is not in an iron lung, like that he is playing. Like, and I feel bad for him. It's rough, but I wouldn't bet that he plays this season at all. So I don't know that you can bank on anything. Dave Dombrowski, I asked him the other day, he said they still hope he plays this year. He was supposed to, when he had this back procedure, be back playing in 6 to 8 weeks. That was the hope. 8 weeks passed last Friday, or 2 Fridays ago when they were in Baltimore. So I mean,
they have not provided any update, have they?
No, they've been very vague all along.
Yeah. And then the last one is the Marlins end the season against the Cubs and the Braves. So that's the Braves are probably going to be already in La La Land. They're going to, both the Cubs and the Braves might be saving their starters for the postseason. So we'll see on that. Anthony, Tim, cannot thank you enough. You guys are going on the road, right?
We're heading out to the Field of Dreams in Iowa, and then from there we'll be taking a nice car ride across the Central Plains to Minneapolis to wrap up the series in Minnesota.
That is awesome. Guys, have a wonderful trip. I cannot thank you enough for always being a part of Phillies Weekly. Tim, just give us a brief Phillies spotlight. What else you guys got going? Because you got like 100 podcasts now. I mean, every time
Phillies
that I turn in, Anthony's in it.
Phillies Stoplight airs at the end of every Phillies series, although this week we're going to wait till after the Field of Dreams game. But a new episode usually is at the end of every series. So follow us. That's on YouTube or podcast platforms, and then OnPattison.com, at Tim Kelly Sports on all social platforms.
You had Dusty Watton the other day, I mean, on a podcast. I mean, Anthony, doing his magic there. I mean, it's hey, you guys are doing a tremendous job. So congratulations.
Yeah,
Anthony, you ready?
Well, I mean, there's nothing more to say. I mean, Tim and I work at the same place, so whatever Tim says goes for me. Except my Twitter handle's at SanFilippo, but I mean, you probably have seen it by now. And
SanFilippo, Tim Kelly Sports, guys, you're the best. Have a wonderful week and good luck at the Field of Dreams, and at least kind of bring us a win, guys. Come on, Aaron Nola's going to be pitching. Take care, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Oscar.
Lanzamiento, aquí viene un batazo de Mundito entre right center field, la bola pica, se extiende, viene anotando Stott, empata el juego, también manda para la bola Turner anota y los Phillies se van arriba. Se prepara, Mundito en segunda, el lanzamiento, batazo profundo para el center field, la bola se va, Schwarber Bomb, campanazo. Aquí viene el lanzamiento. Swing y lo ponchó.